Dear Teroxx community, welcome to this trade of the week video. We will give short analysis of the market and how we evaluate trades, and of course giving insights in as well how you can evaluate good positions. And a good long position should be like this. The sell point should be higher than the buy point. Of course, there are reasons to buy. So if we see a huge dip and no rebounds, or if there is upcoming news of a project or token, if your technical analysis is showing some good opportunities, or when we're having a vola or volume breakout to the one side, it's always an indicator that you could think about buy points. Or long term, as an early investor, when you see that a project is good but it's not bottomed out yet, so the price had not spiked yet, you as well can think about investing there. All in all, there are reasons to sell, and the reasons to sell, for example, are the stop loss hits. We're always securing our fund with our stop loss, so if the stop loss hits, it's a good reason to sell. Or the better version, when the trading stop loss hits. So when the market is going up, we will trail our stop loss to the top, and once the market is going down again, this got hit and we booking our profits. Or when our indicators technical analysis is showing a trend change to come, we can try to sell at the peak. Or all in all, when we feel comfortable with our profit, this as well could be a good sell point. Did you only realize profits are real profits? When we're touching resistance levels, we often see a bounce to the downside, so as well there we can think about to sell. But all in all, there are no golden rules for buying or selling. These are just a few options I wanted to show you to evaluate, or that you can evaluate how to open new positions. When we're now taking a look on the last week, we saw a market that first performed positively and then saw a correction. The week served to further stabilize, and prices were held at low volume and slightly increased. As a result, most prices were slightly positive with high volatility, which allowed us to see some major breakouts. So we were able to sell Teroxx with around 13.3% profit, and parts of our Ethereum holdings with 16.5% profit as well. Our crypto VBO found good entry points and closed and sold Tron, EOS and Ethereum between 5.9 and 7.6% profits. I just drawed you something over here. So basically we saw in Teroxx a sideways movement of 3.5 days. Afterwards we rose to the top and we had an upward trend of around 23%, and then we saw a small correction in this market. So after this climbing, we saw a pullback of around 9%, and of course we traded our stop loss and got shaken out of the trade here to book the profit. And what we saw is over here that we had a cross, or we had a scenario where the MA50 and the MA100 line touched each other, and the MA50 line stood above the MA100 line. So this was quite bullish, and so even due to the markets were positive worldwide too, we saw volume increasing, and then the market lifted up. Of course, there was then the profit taking afterwards, and we saw squeezed Bollinger Bands. That means when the Bollinger Bands are very squeezed, we need a breakout to the top or to the downside. This time, due to the support levels as well, the MA100 and MA50 line played out quite good. We saw a positive move and were able to close Teroxx with these profits. Nearly the same weekend in Ethereum, so we saw a sideways movement around 3 days in Ethereum, and the MA50 line played out as a support over here. So we always waved around this MA50 line, but all in all it was quite a good support. The Bollinger Bands got through it, the worldwide markets were quite positive. The MA100 line was the next support underneath. The MA50 line stood above the MA100 line, and so the market went up by 22%, then saw a correction around 7%, and so we just closed our trailing stop loss over here so that we booked the profits easily. Like Teroxx, technical analysis played out quite good over here. Last but not least, let's talk about Bitcoin. In Bitcoin we saw this same upwards movement, then we had an sell-off too, and a followed sideways movement like in Teroxx and Ethereum. So basically what you can see over here, all the markets went quite the same, or all the cryptos followed BTC, and the market were quite good. We saw in Bitcoin, following in the 1 hour chart, that the RSI was quite high. Even as we saw this downtrend or this sell-off, we had lower highs builded a few times, and then as it came to the weekend days or to later in the week, we just could not hold these levels, and we saw 1 and 2 downwards movement with no real bounce back scenario. So over here we just saw that the market is not that stable again, and as well that the bulls are having problems to holding these levels for now. And right now we as well see a small dip, but all in all 6,600 is a major support. So if we are breaking down to the downside here, we could see a huge sell-off in the market. On the other hand side, if we are staying above these levels, this as well could give new trends to may retest the 7k line too, when the worldwide markets are performing quite stable. I hope you like this video. If you do so, give it a thumb up or a comment, and I would just say we will hear us next time when it comes to Trade of the Week provided by Teroxx.